The air crackles with unspoken truths. A storm is gathering, and at its center stand two towering figures of hip-hop power. Scene comes the impresario known as Diddy and Sean Carter, the mogul and icon Jay-Z. What was marketed as a Netflix documentary about Diddy's meteoric rise and alleged downfall quietly transformed into something far more unsettling. Behind the scenes, it became a battlefield where certain narratives were fiercely guarded and others deliberately erased. The most glaring absence, Jay-Z. This wasn't a simple oversight or creative choice. It was a calculated omission, one that screamed louder than any accusation. In the editing room, tensions reportedly ran high. Executive producer 50 Cent pushed hard for footage tied to Jay-Z to be included, material he claimed would peel back layers of a carefully constructed public image. Netflix, however, shut it down. The risk, they believe, was too great, the fallout too catastrophic. So what could be so explosive that a global streaming giant would censor its own project? The answer may lie in the dense web of power, influence, and alleged misconduct linking these two men. Diddy and Jay-Z weren't merely industry peers exchanging nods at award shows. They were close allies. Confidence was shared ventures, overlapping circles, and a history far deeper than the public has ever been allowed to see. And according to some, that bond was far more sinister. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, a man who has since become a reluctant truth-teller, describes a relationship that went well beyond casual friendship. He openly mocks attempts by Jay-Z's legal team to distance their client from Diddy, pointing to moments that, in his view, reveal a far deeper connection. Deal recalls an incident in Atlanta where Diddy, standing on stage, told the crowd, "Can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z." On the surface, it sounds harmless, a playful show of respect. But Deal suggests it meant far more, a level of intimacy that extended beyond business and branding. He goes further, offering a chilling detail. According to Deal, the two men shared interests that reflected a disturbing mindset, casually referring to matching white girls as if people were accessories. A grotesque remark that, if true, speaks volumes about a shared worldview and unchecked entitlement. Seen through that lens, Jay-Z's absence from the documentary isn't just about shielding him from Diddy's alleged misconduct. It's about protecting an entire ecosystem, one where power suppresses dissent and money ensures silence. Then there's Jaguar Wright, a soul singer with a velvet voice and an unapologetic willingness to speak uncomfortable truths. She publicly raised questions about Jay-Z's alleged ties to Aaliyah and R. Kelly during an appearance on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Shortly afterward, the segment vanished, scrubbed from the internet as though it never existed. The documentary set out to explore what it called Jay-Z's secret life, a phrase loaded enough to suggest a Pandora's box of hidden truths. Whispers have long circulated about alleged illegitimate children, some claiming as many as 15 scattered across the world. According to these rumors, their mothers were quietly paid off, silenced with millions in hush money. Jaguar Wright speaks with chilling certainty, insisting she has firsthand, verifiable knowledge of these alleged secrets. Reports suggest 50 Cent wanted to bring some of these women forward, prepared to present receipts, legal documents that supposedly showed a calculated effort to bury the stories for good. But Netflix allegedly shut it down. The risk, they decided, was too high, and that leaves one haunting question. Imagine the stories these women could tell. Lives shaped in secrecy. Truths hidden through NDAs. Burdens carried for years like stones no one else could see. If true, the implications for Jay-Z's carefully curated image as a devoted husband and family man would be explosive. Yet what's even more disturbing than the allegations themselves is the idea of a cover-up, a pattern of using immense wealth and influence not just to protect an image, but to control the narrative and silence inconvenient truths. Then there's Rihanna, a name synonymous with global success, beauty, and empowerment. But peel back the layers, and an unsettling narrative begins to surface. one involving alleged manipulation and trafficking. Jaguar Wright claims she knows more than she's saying, and hints that what's hidden may be even darker than anyone realizes. Mince words aside, the question remains unsettling. Was Rihanna, a 16-year-old girl from Barbados, essentially sold to Jay-Z? The timeline alone is chilling. Producer Evan Rogers discovers her, and almost immediately she's flown to the United States, alone, without her parents, on a private plane. She's rushed into a hotel for a 3:00 a.m. audition with Jay-Z, a 3:00 a.m. audition. For a 16-year-old, that's not how mentorship works. That's the operating pattern of predators. Wright claims Rihanna's father received a $500,000 payout, described as a down payment, possibly wired under another name, perhaps even before the plane touched down. Once she arrived at Def Jam, reports suggest Rihanna was left alone with Jay-Z for 6 hours. 6 hours, a vulnerable teenager behind closed doors with one of the most powerful men in the industry. What happened in that room? Rihanna herself has said in interviews that she was effectively kept in the office until 3:00 a.m., pressured to stay until she signed the recording contract. And she wasn't the only one. Consider Tierra Mary, another 16-year-old singer signed to Def Jam. She was talented, she had the look, she had the backing, and yet her story ended very differently. She had Jay-Z's attention, and then poof, Rihanna arrives and Tierra Mary's career vanishes. Convenient, isn't it? Tierra Mary is allegedly the Jane Doe in a lawsuit involving inappropriate conduct that reportedly occurred when she was just 16 years old. When placed alongside Rihanna's sudden rise, the pieces begin forming a deeply disturbing picture. One teenage artist ascends overnight, while another fades into silence. Even the lack of collaboration between Rihanna and Beyoncé raises questions. Two global superstars signed to the same label, existing in the same orbit, yet rarely seen together. They avoid each other almost entirely. Why? For years, rumors of an affair between Jay-Z and Rihanna have circulated. Never proven, but never fully dismissed either. And if even a fraction of it were true, the silence suddenly makes sense. Then there's Anti, Rihanna's 2016 album. The cover features a young girl wearing a crown that blinds her eyes. According to Wright, it's a symbolic cry for help, an image of an artist crowned by success yet unable to see through the darkness of the industry surrounding her. And the story doesn't exist in a vacuum. The tragedy of Aaliyah adds another layer. The world knows about R. Kelly's relationship with her, the illegal marriage, the years of abuse. What's discussed far less is Jay-Z's proximity. He worked closely with R. Kelly, producing entire albums alongside him, despite widespread knowledge of Kelly's predatory behavior. Some even claim Jay-Z pursued Aaliyah himself while she was still entangled with Kelly. Dame Dash, Jay-Z's former business partner, has said he began dating Aaliyah when she turned 21. This raises questions about where Jay-Z was in the years leading up to that period, and why he appeared so comfortable collaborating with R. Kelly despite the controversies surrounding him. Singer Jaguar Wright has made a series of explosive claims about the music industry, alleging she was forced to sign an NDA and participate in what she describes as a blood oath to remain silent about what she witnessed. She has also suggested that her ex-husband was financially compensated to act as her public spouse while she was privately involved with other powerful figures in the industry. According to Wright, learning more about what she believes truly happened to Aaliyah is what ultimately compelled her to speak out. Aaliyah's death in a plane crash has long been surrounded by speculation. While officially ruled a tragic accident, some continue to question whether there were deeper forces at play. Rapper 50 Cent reportedly wanted to explore these interconnected stories to highlight what he sees as a recurring pattern of young women being controlled and silenced within the industry. However, the project was never picked up, allegedly due to legal concerns and potential backlash. The power to suppress uncomfortable narratives is itself a form of control. Wright's interview reportedly disappearing from Piers Morgan's platform has been cited by critics as a troubling example, though it is not the only one they point to. Another frequently mentioned case is that of Kathy White, alleged by some to have been Jay-Z's mistress, who died suddenly in 2011 from a reported aneurysm. Convenient, some would say. Aneurysms are notoriously difficult to investigate after the fact, often leaving little room for definitive answers. To critics, that makes them an unsettlingly perfect explanation for sudden, unexpected deaths. Jaguar Wright has claimed that the truth behind Kathy White's death will eventually come to light, and has suggested the responsible party may not even be a man. She punctuated the claim with a cryptic remark, "Show them the tape, Diddy." What tape? And what, if anything, could seem Diddy Combs allegedly possessed that might implicate Jay-Z in events surrounding Kathy White's death? The implication alone has fueled intense speculation. Some theorize that if Diddy holds damaging information, it could explain why Jay-Z has never fully distanced himself from him, even amid mounting allegations and public scrutiny. In this narrative, Diddy is portrayed as holding leverage, a kind of insurance policy that keeps powerful alliances intact. Supporters of this theory argue that Kathy White's case is not isolated. They point to a number of individuals connected, directly or indirectly, to Jay-Z and Beyoncé whose lives ended abruptly or whose careers unraveled under mysterious or controversial circumstances. One of the most frequently cited examples is Kimberly Thompson, Beyoncé's former drummer, who filed for a restraining order in 2018. Thompson alleged that Beyoncé subjected her to extreme psychological and spiritual abuse, including claims involving witchcraft, hypnosis, and being drugged while asleep. The allegations sounded shocking and to many implausible. However, Thompson was not an unknown figure seeking attention. She is a trained musician, a graduate of Berklee College of Music, and was personally selected by renowned drummer and educator Terry Lyne Carrington to be part of Beyoncé's all-female band. In pursuing legal action, Thompson effectively walked away from her career in mainstream music, a decision that continues to raise questions among those who believe her story deserves deeper examination. Whether these accounts represent hidden truths, personal trauma, or unproven theories remains a matter of intense debate. What is undeniable, however, is that the concentration of power in the entertainment industry often determines which stories are amplified and which quietly disappear. She claimed she was trying to escape what she described as Beyoncé's alleged dark practices and paid the price for it. According to Thompson, she was blacklisted, ostracized, and effectively erased from the industry. To critics, that illustrates the power of this inner circle. Dissent is punished, silence rewarded. History shows that those labeled crazy are often the easiest to dismiss, even when they're telling uncomfortable truths. Orlando Brown is frequently cited as another example. Publicly mocked and portrayed as unstable, he nevertheless went viral after describing what he claimed took place at Diddy's parties. Brown spoke of a massive bed, reportedly 50 feet long, set up outdoors under the moonlight, where gatherings allegedly lasted all night. He claimed Diddy would remain there for hours, surrounded by multiple people, and made references to Rihanna and Jason, which many listeners interpreted as coded mentions of Rihanna and Jay-Z. These allegations were reportedly meant to be explored in a planned fourth episode, an exposed focus on the private party scene. The episode was intended to argue that Jay-Z and Diddy were not merely business associates, but participants in a much deeper and darker alliance. According to those familiar with the project, Netflix declined to move forward. The legal exposure, they said, would be overwhelming. The backlash, unprecedented. Former Bad Boy Records bodyguard Gene Deal has echoed similar sentiments, stating that many powerful figures in the industry engaged in behavior that remained hidden for years. But he has also noted that the rise of platforms like YouTube has made it harder to fully suppress these stories. As he put it, these are not street figures bound by any code. They are entertainers playing roles, protected by influence rather than loyalty. He won 3 Grammys in a single night, a career-defining triumph by any measure. Yet only hours after the ceremony, he was arrested following a minor altercation with security. Handcuffed on what should have been the biggest night of his life, the moment immediately sparked quiet speculation. Whispers circulated that Jay-Z had allegedly made a call, that someone had been paid to disrupt Killer Mike's celebration in response to his outspokenness. In industry lore, the warning is simple. You don't cross Jay-Z without consequences. So why would Netflix allegedly censor material involving Jay-Z? According to critics, it comes down to power. Jay-Z is not just a rapper. He's a global mogul with deep ties across entertainment, business, and politics. Those who believe the footage existed argue that Netflix calculated the risk and chose restraint. Airing such content, they say, could have triggered an avalanche of lawsuits, injunctions, and pressure from other influential figures, people with their own interests and reputations to protect. From that perspective, Netflix opted for survival over confrontation. A documentary that tells part of the story, however incomplete, is safer than one buried under endless litigation. The implication, according to observers, is obvious, even if rarely spoken aloud. Everyone knows who is being referenced. Everyone understands the subtext. But few are willing to say it plainly because Jay-Z's influence is still seen as too vast, too entrenched, and too powerful to openly challenge.